Doesn't matter what sort of leaders we have. According to the United States Census Bureau, one-third of the population between the ages of 18 through 29 voted, while two-thirds of the population 65 and older voted in the 2018 midterms. My name is Ricky. I'm the same age as you, and I hope to convince you to vote in the future by showing you what's been happening to us as millennials and what we can do about it. Before we begin, I'd like to mention about a YouTuber who goes by the name CGP Grey. A while back he did a video called Rules of a Ruler, which touches on the topic of how people in power behave and why. As I've gathered data for my own points, I found that I've been proving his. And as a consequence, our arguments are very similar, if not parallel. He will be mentioned again later in this video, but I want you to keep him in mind and watch him as I'm telling you the statistics. Now let's get started on what's been happening in terms of bills. A sampling of the bills surrounding healthcare at congress.gov shows the Congress pays more attention to the older population than they did in the 70s. Here's a graph representing the two time periods. And the bottom is the 70s and then the top is today. I want you to pay close attention to the relations between the handicapped and the retired and elderly. During the 70s, the handicapped had plenty of bills benefiting them, while the retired and elderly had scant any. But jump forward to today, and not only is the roles reversed, but the retired and elderly has more bills benefiting them than the handicapped ever did during the 70s. If that does not translate into what's been happening to us, then look no further than your own financial realities. According to Business Insider, the wealth gap between young households and old households have doubled over the past 20 years due to rising debts, increasing housing expenses, and a slow recovery from the Great Recession. Two of those factors have been scant mentioned by our Congress. Our leaders as a nation is not what we want. 3 polls in 3 different states before the elections of 2016 put Hillary in the lead by double digits. The smallest lead was 11% done by Harley Dickinson University's Public Mind in New Jersey, while the largest was in Michigan, 16% done by Marist poll. The explanation? CNN exit polls for 2016 shows that the younger population, 44 and under, preferred Clinton on average over the older population who preferred Trump. They even preferred Clinton even more so than the older population preferred Trump. Here's a graph from CNN exit polls and modified so you can see. The reason why Trump won was because the older population beat the younger by 12%. I will admit it is never a good thing to be underrepresented in history, not in the polls, not in people's concerns, not in the census bureaus. But there is a way to fix it with the polls. You can vote. This is where me and CGP Grey start to have very similar arguments. Again, I highly recommend him. And I will not review his arguments for his side because it is going to be nearly the exact same but for different contexts. Vote. No matter if you lose or win, if you do not vote, you do not give the government officials incentives to give you resources. Because any resources they give you is a resource that their rivals could promise the voters. Vote in your interest. You do not have to know everything. In fact, you are not expected to know everything. Democracy is an accumulation of everybody's knowledge and everybody's worries. Vote what you care about and follow politics in the areas you care about. And speaking of democracy, get others to vote, even if they disagree with you, because chances are they are in the same demographics as you are. And the more people that are voting, the more people that represents our nation today, and the more likely we are to get and leaders that we want. To sum it up, we are being overlooked as millennials because we are not voting. And the older population is getting attention because they are. But this is easily fixable. You can vote. You as the individual has the power to vote and to contribute to your society. One last thing to take away from this. Power unused is power lost.